Positivity with me, Danielle. So today I want to talk about depression. Now, the reason why I want to talk about depression is because I feel like a lot of people do not take depression seriously. I feel like a lot of people think that depression is just someone being upset and they can't handle themselves, or someone being soft and getting all emotional about something that's really not that serious. Now, can depression come off that way? Yes. Some depression situations you can get yourself out of. If you're in a relationship with a boy or girl and they're cheating, or they're being abusive physically, mentally, or even if you're in a relationship and they're controlling, yeah, if they're controlling to the point where it's stressing you out and you feel like you're worthless, that's a depression situation that you can get yourself out of. Now, it's not always that easy. You can have kids, it can have financial issues, you can just love that person so much that you can't see that person dealing with anyone else, and it makes you stay. So there's all types of situations. I'm not trying to judge anyone. At the end of the day, I've been there, done that, trust me. But it's just not good for you. The stress is just not good. When you get to a point where you feel like you're losing yourself, or you get to a point where you feel like you're trying to justify what someone is doing to you, which is wrong, you should leave. If you can't leave, if you don't have family you can stay with, or you don't have a support system, even if you feel like the kids will hate you, they won't. It might take some time, but they'll get over it. And a lot of times, believe it or not, your kids know what's going on too, and they know that it's not right. They just love their mom, they love their dad, so they deal with it. And I mean this for men or women, because men are abused too. What I could say is, it's hard to be in a situation like that. It really is. To feel like you love somebody so much you want to stick with them, especially if they're going through something that makes you want to stick with them even more, because you're making excuses for what they're doing because you know they're going through something. So what I can say is, it's really important to try to have family and friends. And if not, there is help hotlines out here. There's actually a hotline out here about depression that you can call. It's a free hotline. You could call, you can give them whatever name you want. You don't have to, it's confidential. So the number is 1-800-950-6264, and you could call this number at any time. I think it's 24 hours, and you could talk to someone, at least find out what's the next step, because there are resources out here where they can help you just figure out what's your next step. Like, what can you do, whether it's getting full custody or finding a place to move without having the financial situation that you want to have. Maybe finding a better job. They got temporary living situations. They got a lot of places that they can actually try to help you. I'm not going to say it's the greatest situation ever. I'm sure it's not. That's why I said, if you got family and close friends, that's number one. But I will also call these hotlines if you have no other choice, and see what else you can do, because just being sad and depressed and going through a bad situation for a very long time is just not good. It's just more stress on your heart, and it's just taking away your life. You're wasting so much time in this bad situation with this toxic person, and you don't get that time back. So it's really important to pay attention to what's important and just try to do what you can. I can only say but so much, because it ain't like I can be like, hey, I got a place for you to live, or hey, I'm gonna talk to your kids. And I know situation, I don't. All I can say is I've been through a situation like that, and I came through it where I felt like my kids would pay the price, but it worked out good. You just have to be open with them, talk to them, and sort of break it down and explain. It doesn't mean to down the other parent. You don't want to do that. But just to explain, you know, me and mommy and daddy, we love each other, but we need our space, our time. It doesn't mean you have to not love the other person, and just try to break it down as best as you can. But it's a hard situation. But I just don't think someone should be sad or depressed all the time. It's just not a good thing. Okay, so for one thing, I want to talk about, like I said, depression. More than 15 million people in the U.S. alone suffer from depression. So a lot of people think that they're alone in this situation. They're not. It's a whole lot of people that suffer from depression, and then on top of that, a lot of people don't talk about it. The reason why so many people don't talk about it is because we live in a society where people say, oh, you all in your feelings, you soft, or oh, you all in your feelings about, oh, you ain't let that go yet. Everybody deals with sadness and depression differently, whether it's from losing somebody you're close to, which I have also been through. That takes forever. I'm still going through that, and it's from 2011. So years and years can build up that you can go through certain things, but it's how you hold it. If you're just sad about something for a long time, then I wouldn't diagnose you as depressed. But if you're to the point where you're like, I can't live without this person, I feel like I want to die, my life is pointless, then you should go see a therapist, because it's very important to try to talk to someone or find out your resources before it's too late and you don't have any resources, or it's too late to talk to someone and then you have to go to an institute or whatever, because ain't nobody gonna want to just go sign themselves up to stay in no institute unless you really have to. So it's better to go try to talk to someone earlier if you can. Another fact is that alcohol and drug abuse most of the time comes from depression. A lot of people that drink and do all types of drugs, pills, whatever they do, a lot of it comes from depression. They're not happy with where they are in their life, or they just dealt with a lot before they became adults, and as they became adults, hey, I could drink now, or I could do this, and they picked up on this bad habit and they can't let it go. It's sort of their way of escaping reality. Even cheating sometimes can be a sign of depression. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want people to cheat and be like, hey, I was depressed. No, because at the end of the day, cheating is still a choice. Drugs are still a choice. When you have an addiction and it's really bad and you feel like, I have to do this, have to do this, I still feel like you have a choice to a point where you could tell someone, hey, if I don't do this, I feel like I'm gonna die, I'm gonna lose my mind. And you telling that person is sort of like asking for help and getting that person to try to find the necessary help for you, than to just try to hide it or keep doing it and not care about what's going on the outside world. But cheating, you can be a different person with that person that you're cheating with. They don't really know your history, they don't really know about you, so that could be a way of escaping reality. So it's sort of a way to deal with depression. Like I said, I'm not excusing every cheater, because I sure think it's a choice at the end of the day. If you know it's wrong and you choose to still cheat, then that's what you choose to do, then you became a cheater. But some people do deal with depression that way. You even have people out here that deal with depression by being mean or rude to other people because they're not happy with who they are or what they've been through, and they feel like you should suffer for it. You got men out here that treat women like crap because they're not happy with their mother or their mother's situation. You got women out here that treat men like crap because their dad wasn't around or whatever the situation is. So there's lots of ways to deal with depression. Now, there's two different types of depression. Like I said, there's the depression that you sort of have a way out of. You just got to figure it out. Whether that means you start saving up money to move out or whatever, talk to a lawyer, call the hotline, whatever you have to do. And then there's depression that you cannot help. No matter what you do, you try to make yourself happy, but you're always sad. So I want to ask these couple questions that say, if you feel like this, then you're really dealing with depression. So they say, are you depressed? Are you in a sad mood all day? Now, when they say a sad mood, they don't mean you just lost your job, or you can't pay your bills, or you wanted something and you couldn't buy it that you wanted to eat. They mean like you just wake up and it's like a gloomy day and you can't even explain why you're so upset, or out of nowhere you're sitting around watching TV and just start crying and nothing happened and you're just sad and you feel like, I hate my life. That's the type of sad they're talking about. Loss of interest in almost all activities. That means stuff that you love to do, go dancing, play around, you don't want to do any of that stuff anymore because you just lost that that urge to have fun. You you're so tired that you don't feel like doing anything. You're just miserable, pretty much. You're miserable. You don't want to do anything at all. And someone could be right in front of you having a good time, and you're just sitting there like, I really don't want any parts of that. Then you have weight loss or decrease in appetite. They don't mean you're going to the gym, you're working out, or you change your diet and you're losing weight. They mean you know you should be eating, but you can't eat, or everything you think about eating, you're like, oh, it makes me sick, I don't want to eat it. That's what they mean. And they mean a lot of weight loss. Like if you just lose 10-15 pounds out of nowhere and you weren't trying to, it just happened. Insomnia or sleeping way too much. So you up all night, your brain is just running and you can't sleep, or you're sleeping too much. And I don't mean if you were working a night shift, or if you got kids that you're chasing around all day, or you have a situation that's going on and you're tired. I mean, you're just sleeping. You're not doing nothing but just sleeping all day. Feeling worthless or guilty for almost nothing. So if you're blaming yourself for stuff that's going on in the world, and you're like, oh, somehow that's my fault, that's guiltiness. Or your friend does something to you and you're like, oh, it's my fault, and that's like that guiltiness. You take it on to everything because you want to feel guilty. Or worthless, like you just like, oh, there's nothing left in this world for me, I can't add to this world, I don't do nothing. And it don't gotta be income or whatever. It could just be you feeling like I have no place. Trouble concentrating. You try to concentrate on something and you really can't. You're sitting there and your head starts hurting and you're focused on everything else but what you're trying to concentrate on. And of course, reoccurring thoughts of death and suicide. If you get to that point, you really need to talk to someone. You need to call the hotline I told you about. Again, that number is 1-800-950-6264, and they can direct you to the right people you need to talk to. You could go to facilities. You need to get around family and friends. You need to open up and talk to someone that you feel like you can trust. I know sometimes it can be really hard, like I said, in a world we live in where people judge you so much on every little thing. Oh, you're still going through that? Oh, why you letting that get to you? But it's good to be able to have someone that will actually sit there and just listen. Even if they don't agree with you, they could just sit there and listen, and they could be there for you to make sure that you don't harm yourself. That's a great friend, and that's the type of friends that you need around. They also have an abuse line for rape. People that have been raped or abused that you can call RAIN. It's 1-800-656-4673. Like I said, somebody that been raped, it don't gotta be that you just been raped. It could have been something that you dealt with in your past and you're still dealing with and you don't want to talk to no one. This is somebody you can talk to, and it's all confidential. They can't go back and say what you said unless somebody has to go to jail. I heard that is a situation that they can sort of break them boundaries, but if you don't give information, they can't do nothing from it. But my whole point is just talk to someone, whether it's someone you could trust, a family or friend, or just random people, a therapist that could direct you the right way of where to go from here. At least so you don't have these suicidal thoughts, because it's serious. Suicide is serious. The numbers for suicide have been crazy lately. It's so many people out here that are going through depression, and people don't take them seriously until they kill themselves. And that's sad because it can be avoided, whether it's through therapy or just, like I said, being a friend and being there, or medication, or a facility. There's facilities now where you think someone's going to harm themselves, you can get them admitted to this facility. You don't even need their permission. Also, there is drug rehabs, of course, for people, like I said, that were dealing with depression and then they become abusive on drugs or alcohol. It's 1-800-662-4357, which is a substance abuse and mental health clinic where you could talk to someone about what steps you could take to get yourself clean and get yourself together, and realize, sort of come up front with what the situation is that you're dealing with that makes you have this addiction in the first place. Also, I want to talk about the fact that kids can be depressed. Me, I have a 1-year-old, and I'll look at him like, I don't know what he got an attitude about. He got the perfect life. He don't got to pay bills. He don't got to do nothing. But come to find out, there's a study that says kids can go off of your energy. So if you have like an attitude, or if you're quick and you're spoiled and you're one of them people that if you don't get what you want, you have like, kids pick up on that and they copy it. And your depression, you're sad, or you and your spouse are fighting all the time, your kids pick up on that. It's a sad, gloomy feeling that they sort of start feeling like that too. And the bad thing is, it can carry on for a long time without a parent really noticing that it's really a problem. And then they become antisocial. They don't want to participate in activities that normally kids do, and then they're weird to the other kids, and then they become bullied. And then before you know it, a kid is bullied, and then we have kids that are committing suicide at 9 years old. So we really got to pay attention to our kids. We really do. And then we really got to get on top of this bullying. Like, a lot of kids are being bullied in school, and you go talk to a teacher and nothing's happening. I had a situation with my son where I went to school and I talked to a teacher, and they told me, oh, we'll handle it, everything was fine. But my son was coming home and he was still telling me there were situations. Then when I went to talk to the teacher, oh, we handled that, but it wasn't handled. So I actually waited for the child to be picked up from school, and I talked to their parents, because they can't stop me from doing that. And I actually told their parents, like, listen, your child is bullying my child and it needs to stop. I didn't threaten her or whatever. And I actually talked to her father and was just like, listen, like, it's not good, something needs to be done about it. And the problem was fixed. So I can't say that it's always that easy, because I'm pretty sure it's not. But you just gotta figure out, sometimes you gotta take stuff into your own hands and sort of figure it out. I'm not saying go beat up their parents or go knock down a door or kill somebody or nothing crazy like that. I'm just saying, try to take it into your own hands, even if it's talking to a child, not yelling at the child, but just speaking to the child and saying, you know, it's not nice, and sort of explaining the situation, because maybe they don't get that from their parents. But we need to take kids serious when it comes to depression. If you feel like your child is always depressed, there are kid therapists out here that your kids can talk to. And like I said, it's confidential, where you don't gotta worry about what they're saying or whatever situation is, to a certain extent. I don't want to say that too much, because they will use it against you if you got some crazy stuff on. You got JoJo down the street who's selling drugs at your house or whatever, and your son brings it up to a therapist. And I can't say for sure that they won't, but like, let's call child services, because they might. Or you're beating your child, or somebody else is beating your child, or somebody's hurting your child. I can't say that they won't, because I mean, that's what they should do if a child is being abused. But it is confidential to the most point, where they say, you know, my dad used to beat on my mom and I'm dealing with that, or whatever. They won't go back and say, hey, whatever. They'll just talk to you and sort of explain to you how you can help your child. So it's a really good thing to do. When I was young, I actually dealt with depression. My dad used to drink, and him and my mom used to fight, and I hid it from a lot of my friends that didn't even know my situation, except for, you know, my real close friends that I talked to and vented to, or would go to their house in that situation. But I tried to hide it the most that I could, and it became a lot on me. It was like really heavy, to the point where I was really depressed sometimes, but I would always cover it up with a smile. Anyone would tell you, like, she was such a happy child, and I was, but I wasn't. It was sort of like I was making myself be happy, but I really had a lot of sadness inside. And we did family therapy or whatever, and it didn't really help. It actually took my dad wanting to stop drinking and trying to get things together. My mom stopped drinking, and everything just got better that way. But dealing with that time, I actually did write poems. I did coloring. I would go hang with friends and do stuff that I found fun to get me out of this slump that I was in. So as I got older, I sort of carried that on, where before, when I was in an abusive relationship, that I would find the time to go do things for myself to make myself feel good, where I had someone that was bringing me down all the time, and I would uplift myself pretty much. And I had, you know, friends that had my back somewhat, and family members, so that was good. But I really had to deal with it on my own, and that's what I say, certain situations you deal with because you sort of feel like you have to, but there's a way out, then you need to get out. But depression is a serious thing, and especially to be like having a diagnosis of depression, because if you don't talk to someone or you don't get the right help, it could turn to suicide. And you would hate to know that you had a friend that needed help that was right next to you and you couldn't help that person because you were too busy worried about yourself or thinking, hey, it's not that serious. Maybe it is that serious to that person. So I would say pay attention to your friends, your family members, your kids, and just try to talk to people as much as you can and make sure they're okay. You're just calling, hey, you okay? How are you today? That's a good thing. It's important to communicate. It really is, more than people think. And I don't mean just a text, hey, what's up, because you can't really tell what's going on in a text. But if you could call somebody, hey, how you feeling today, you could sort of hear it in their voice if something is wrong most of the time. Or just going to see somebody, hey, you look nice. That's a good thing too, is to try to uplift people as much as you can, not sit there, hey, you look like you gaining a little weight, or oh, what's going on with your hair. I know my hair is a mess today. But whatever, like, you don't want someone to do that all the time. You want somebody to try to uplift you. Hey, you glowing, girl, or you lost a couple pounds. And I don't mean lie. I mean actually find the goodness about people. Actually take a situation and find the goodness in it to express to other people. That's a very important thing too. Find your happiness, because you can't expect anybody else to give it to you but you. They also have a 12-step program, of course, for therapy, where you can go into a facility. Like I said, they have the hotlines that I told you about. They have a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of people, like I said, don't want to admit to the fact that they're depressed because people judge them and make fun of them, or like I said, you're soft, or you're still dealing with that, and oh, that nigga beat you behind because you let them, or whatever the situation is. And you have to, I don't want to hear that all the time, so you don't talk about it. But at the end of the day, it just builds up and it becomes depression and stress. And stress is nothing but just strain on your heart. It's not good for you at all. So we gotta do better when it comes to dealing with sad situations and trying to be there for each other. Also, a lot of people that have bipolar disorder, they also are dealing with stress. When you have friends that one minute they're on top of the world, the next minute they're all the way down here and they're at the bottom of the barrel, or you have friends that one minute they love you to death and next minute you're the worst friend in the world, or they do something to you and they switch it around and they're blaming it on you, and their highs and their lows and anxiety, all that is bipolar disorder, which comes from back stress, which a lot of times people don't talk to people. They can say, oh, you crazy girl, or one minute you chilling, next minute you going psycho. And people think it's funny, but it's really a bipolar disorder that people need to take medication for to get help with, because it can turn out to be something dangerous. One minute they could be sitting there laughing, and next minute they just feel like killing themselves. So it's really important to pay attention to the people you talk to. Pay attention to what's going on and the people you love lives, and just check on people, make sure they're okay. Just like I said, even if it's just a simple how you doing, try to talk to them on the phone or see them face to face, because like I said, text messages, which we all do a lot of now, you can't really tell what someone's going through unless they really tell you. So that was why I wanted to talk about depression. I just feel like it's not talked about enough, and it's sad that it gets to the point where people are killing themselves. I see it all the time at my job, people who are trying to commit suicide, and they just want someone to be there for them. They want somebody to listen to them. They want somebody to sort of feel what they are going through. Maybe you didn't go through abuse, but somebody else did, and maybe the way they handled it is different than how you would want them to handle, but it still doesn't mean that you can't listen to them and be there for them. It doesn't mean that you can't sort of help find what they need to move on from that situation. Everybody deals with stuff differently, and we need to cope with that. We need to understand that everybody is different, and just spread love, spread positivity, and try to be there for each other as much as we can. That's all I can say, because you don't want to sit there and know that you could have helped someone and then it's too late. and you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself that all I had to do was call this person. Instead, I was being petty and I felt like their situation was stupid or whatever, and you could have just talked to them the whole time and that person would still be here. So just be mindful of depression and things that people are going through in their daily life. It might not be what you're going through, but it still could be a really bad situation, and you just never know what somebody's going through. That's why I always say it's good to be nice to people. Say hi, or you look nice, or have a great day. Little stuff that you can say to people to sort of uplift them to a bad situation they could be having. So I hope I helped, and I hope we help bring the depression level down, especially suicide, and take care of our kids and our family members. And I'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening. So today in Philly, they're having a Midtown Fall Festival downtown on 13th Street, where they have 100 different vendors. They're going to have food, drinks, 5 stages of entertainment, karaoke, all for free till 8 p.m. tonight. So I hope you can go and enjoy. Have fun.
Today's word of advice is train your mind to see the good in everything. Positivity is a choice. Say thanks for watching.